Hi guys, I hope you're doing good. Sorry about the angle of my camera and the view, but I wanted to do a screenshot because over the last week or two I have just been really sitting down and I've been observing what's been going on around this world and where people are coming from, kind of seeing where I am in my own evolution, my consciousness, and my awareness. And anyways, I have done some global meditations, some group meditations, and one was on like anchoring our sovereignty and our own power, and it was very powerful. Christina Lopes, she has a lot of great information on her YouTube channel, and a conversation was brought up because in the meditation, I don't remember right offhand what like brought this up in me, but it was basically, if I can just look at my own response, I was basically feeling like, are we supposed to really use our voices? Do some people really think that it's best to just completely avoid talking about those things that are going on? And it's interesting because over the last couple weeks, I've also seen other people who are coming out and speaking out about things, but they are keeping a balance and they're keeping their focus on the solutions and not, just getting caught in the rabbit holes. And so anyways, I wanted to read this just because I think there are people who watch this channel, and I think it's hard for some people who are in the midst of having their families trafficked by these corporations and these people who don't understand. A lot of them don't understand what they're involved in. They've been so indoctrinated. I was there once myself, and you start to believe that the lie. You believe that what you're doing is for the good of, families, and you're just doing your job, but your job is, honorable. You get kudos, and your family's like, wow, look at you. You went to school, and you get the grades, you have so much invested in it, and then you get awards from your job, and people are there, and you start to form relationships, and your whole identity becomes a part of either being a caseworker, a supervisor, an attorney, a judge, an adoption agent, part of someone who's putting other things together, trying to help with the needs of these families, and you just don't see the bigger picture. And I think there's a lot of people who do good things in this, but the problem becomes when we're ignorant to what is actually going on and who's pulling the strings. And so I think that the reason I want to share this is because for those who come to my channel, most people just want, how do I get my offspring, my children back, or my elderly, back from the system. They're just looking for hardcore steps to do that. And I will tell you, I have done many, many things. I've shared in other videos things I've done, paperwork I've filed, and this is an ongoing process, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're just focusing on the physical and doing as much of the paperwork and trying to learn about what's going on, or you're doing the spiritual work, emotional work, all of this stuff is a process, and I believe it all goes together. It truly is about our mind, body, and our spirits. So what I'm going to read is what my response was after the meditation, and I hope this helps you, because I don't think there's just one answer or one solution. I believe this is a process. It's a life learning experience for us, and I think that the system is set up in such a way that we are to go through certain experiences, or I guess this life is set up in such a way, and the system is used in order to wake us up and to help us to get to a place from being separated, divided, and in low vibrations, to raising up into the higher vibrations and beginning to step into our own power, and then actually knowing who we are and clearly seeing what's going on in the world and the path that is laid out before us. So, I provide as much resources as I can. I believe that there's people who take these steps and do things, and they will see, some people will have good experiences, but there hasn't been a one size fits all for this. And so I think for myself, if I look at things and I go, wow, how is this going on in the world? This big of a human trafficking ring that is being perpetuated and supported and enforced. How is this going on? This is so much bigger than what we can see with our physical eyes. And so it does require us to really go within. So I just wanted to come on here and to take the time out to make the video and connect with you guys, because I think that it's helpful for us to share our life experiences. So basically what I started off with is, just this day I had felt positive about using my voice to speak my truth for me and my children. I did my best to speak from my heart space and to not get sucked into the propaganda. I am in a tough situation, like so many today whom have been separated based on false allegations, our families. I'm wondering about balancing our focus while on this planet. I've observed that people's powerful voices raise vibrations as we come together. Currently, the push is for forced vaccinations globally based on pseudoscience. So my question is, how do we protect our children who are trapped in a rabbit hole as prisoners in this illusionary system without taking actions? Now, I think the answers are within, but I think it's also good to put it out there, to talk with others who are in their spiritual journey and have a lot of tools. And Christina was a psychologist, and so it's, I think that it's interesting just to hear from others, and it can be helpful when we come together. So it says, this is a rabbit hole that if we don't shine light on can lead to increased pain and suffering. I know we are not victims. However, as survivors taking responsibility for our creations and co-creations, when our children and our families are being targeted, the wisdom we share and wise actions we take in love seem pertinent to us, rising above the lower vibrations and freeing those who are bound on different levels. When do we take the mask off and stand boldly in the face of such oppressive psychological enslavement of our minds and bodies? This was a powerful meditation that brought tears to my eyes and brought me great peace. Thank you for this activation. So her response was, there is no such enslavement going on. And if you believe that matrix, that mode of thinking, then it only shows that within you is a feeling of enslavement. So the work is always within first and foremost. The people that are pumping apocalyptic scenarios such as mass mandatory vaccinations and overall loss of freedom are simply projecting the lack of freedom they have within. Many of them call themselves spiritual and awakened. You see, I don't see the world this way at all. We're moving toward a mass awakening. And if there comes a time when you feel your freedoms are being taken, for example, if your country government does move towards mandatory vaccination, then there are always checks and balances in place within civil societies, like courts and political activism. But you see how activism can be done from a position of peace and centeredness without demonizing anyone like Bill Gates wants to take over the world? And if without letting yourself go into fear and apocalyptic scenarios. Again, if you resonate with these beliefs, then the work really is inner work for you. Bill Gates is the least of our worries. So I just want to say there's a lot of truth in what she said, but there are things that I think many people who are in the midst of a trial and a struggle would see differently. We have different perceptions, and we have different, I think, purposes and missions, assignments to complete, and our voices will be used differently depending on where we are right now. If I wasn't in this situation, I might be actually talking more like her and some other people right now. However, this has really been used to help me to see that I am one with everyone else. When I see a family hurting, my heart hurts as well. And not meaning that I'm attached to everything. And all right, so I had to move because the sun kind of shifted. But what I was saying is that when I have my heartstrings being pulled, this does not take me down into the lower vibrations. I keep my vibrations up, and yes, I'm having this temporary human experience, so there are times when things, emotions, and thoughts, come in, and it is about me being able to observe them and to be able to feel them and observe what is going on and where I am maybe struggling and need to put some of my work into this area to surrender and release and to let go. And so, yeah, there's like a woodpecker over here, which is really cool. I don't know if you hear it, but I think that since we are all one, this is about really serving all of us. And when I go inside and do the internal work, I'm actually helping each one of you. And so the same with you guys. You're helping me and my family. And I don't know, as I'm reading this, what I wanted to say is that, a lot of us know about the courts and civil activism and all of that kind of stuff in civil societies and stuff like that. And we are experiencing things for what they are. And I know when I went into this, I was in low vibrations, and I am learning right now many life lessons, and I am learning how to approach these courts that are in place and to be able to stand, because I truly think that there is, and I know there is, a way to be powerful, to be who we are, and to take our power back in so many levels that most of us don't really think about when we're just busy going around. And luckily, we've had time to slow down. But there's many people out there who don't see what is going on, and I used to be one of those. And yes, my eyes were being opened before my major awakening when I was in the counseling program and stuff, but I could see how I was being so indoctrinated and trained to just believe what I was doing was, good, and that I was going to just report to the appropriate authorities for any type of presumptions, assumptions of abuse or neglect. And I could have been part of that problem, but this experience has brought me new eyes and new perspectives to see the modern day form of human trafficking for what it is. And I just think that many people don't understand, understand what is going on. And so we want to be aware and to not be blindsided like I was when you go into these courts expecting things to be a certain way. There are many things we have to learn in order to have our rights protected and, our families. So I'm just going to go ahead and read, let's see. Let's see, right here. So I said, I hear your words and believe I'm in a process of awakening. I am in the midst of learning how to create and co-create new realities for my family and countless others in which entities have been used to traffic our families, as our families have been torn apart quite systematically by the courts and political systems that have been operating under a different set of rules than what we've been taught. So now we learn what is happening and rise above it by going within to do our internal work and shine our lights as we walk in love. I do not believe that being ignorant or ignoring what countless people are currently dealing with is the answer, but coming together in love to support one another, to self-actualize who we are and our power. I will continue to go within and do the internal work and learn to stand in love to help my family and others as I am led to, staying focused on solutions. Once I am reunited with my 5 kiddos, I will remember my experience to live consciously and compassionately in the now. Thank you for doing your part. Your meditations are very powerful. And in all I'm saying and bringing this out, this is not about bashing anyone or trying to conquer and divide. It truly helped me to look more deeply within, and I can also see where she's coming from in that we do create and co-create our own realities. But for people who are currently in a situation, I don't have all the answers. Maybe there is a way to fully just go within and to raise the vibrations and to have heart and brain coherence and to really set those intentions and to bring in and attract back, bring that magnetic pull to us of what we want in this life. And I'm a baby in this, and so I think that I have a lot to learn. But what keeps coming to me and what I'm being led to do in this situation is to really be powerful in this body, using this vessel in many different ways, and learning, like I said, about the current system and who I am in this, who all of you are in this system, so that I am able to stand boldly and courageously at this time and to make a difference. And I think as we share this, it will help others and our own families along the way. So let's see if there's anything else said. I did come back and I said, from an open heart, I asked, what would you recommend moms and dads to do who have had their little ones taken based on false allegations by the mainstream courts operating today? For me, I am learning how to peaceably and effectively stand in my power as I learn the rules, laws on various levels, heal within, and move from my open heart to connect with Source. I have taken responsibility for my creations, and I continue to encourage my little ones whom want to be back with me, that I am doing everything I know to do to be the change I want to see in my world, in this world, on this planet. Love you, sis. And I will say that as I was writing that, it was hard because there has been, like I've talked about in some of my other videos, destruction of relationships within my family and with each of my little ones at various levels. And so there's a lot of healing that needs to take place, and I don't know how that's going to look, but I do have a bond with my little boys, my youngest daughter, and then my middle daughter. I'm not quite sure where she's at in things, and my eldest has been probably the toughest in her walk where she's at right now. I don't want to get all into that, but what I'm saying is I think we can all relate to some extent that this causes us to really look at our lives and what's important, and it does the same for our little ones, and it can take our families, our children, our elderly down to a very low place. Moms and dads can get very low, and I have been there, and I still struggle on some days, but I don't allow myself to stay down. This is truly about going within and then not allowing those things that have been binding us to keep us down any longer. And there is an ancient way of doing this, and that is from an open heart space. And I think that as we do realize who we are, and we start to step into our power and, go after our bliss and live our purposes, that things will come together for us. And this is all part of it. Where we are right now. And if you're watching this, maybe you've been questioning and you're not sure what to do, and you've tried many things, just like I've talked about with habeas corpuses and affidavits, and I think all those things are good because they start to teach us what's going on. But we can't quit there. There's so much more to this, and I think there's a lot of truth to be learned on that level about the courts. And then, of course, spiritually, this all comes from having our houses built on a solid, firm foundation. We don't want our houses built on sand that gets swept away. We need a rock, and we can be this rock and be this rock for one another, because as one, it matters. And these are our families. So I want to encourage you today, you guys, to stand and know your value, and to not allow other people's perspectives to shift you to a place where you feel like, boy, I can't speak now. And for myself, I'm going to keep on keeping on and be led in the direction that is right for me. And I thought that this might be helpful for those who are, maybe in the same spot where they're questioning spiritually, looking at what's going on, and they want more substance and soul food to help them as they walk in this physical body and to do what we are here to do. I love you guys, and I will be back again. And there were a lot of mosquitoes out again. I'm in the woods, and they like to come out. I had this time, and so I thought, well, I'm just going to keep batting them off. So I thank you for just hanging in there with me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Namaste.